In today's Leeds news, 49ers complete Rangers buyout, Strasbourg Eye Joseph, Pope latest keeper link, and full transfer rumour roundup. Morning folks, welcome back to The View. Monday morning, the 2nd of June with your Leeds United news. Transfer window is officially open. I just wanted to clarify a few bits and pieces based on a couple of comments I received on the channel over the weekend and an increasing sentiment around this as well. This channel is a Leeds United news channel. We cover news, rumours, transfers and anything connected with Leeds United. We regularly get comments from people saying they don't like certain parts of the show and don't want me to cover it, but we will be, because that's the entire point of the show. People don't want to talk about transfer rumours right now, and unfortunately that's where the news is right now. The entire point of this channel is that we go through all the different bits of news that are out there, try and find the more slightly credible ones, and then bring them to you in a short, sharp fashion so you can get on with your day and you don't have to go through rummaging around looking for them. And that's the point of this channel. So we will continue to be doing stories on transfer rumours and everything else, because they are the stories that are out in the press today, and that's what we do here at the channel. I will give you some detail of whether I believe these to be credible or not. This is not a case of us saying we're signing all these players. In fact, we're probably not signing the bulk of them. But just to give you that clarity before we move on, as the channel continues to grow, I want to make sure new people coming in are aware of what we actually do here. Let's start off with the 49ers and the Rangers situation that came out over the weekend. And on Saturday, news came out that the 49ers and Andrew Kavanagh were about to complete their buyout of Rangers and take a 51% stake in the club. It probably should be worded Andrew Kavanagh and the 49ers, due to how it's being broken down. This is a separate investment pool from the current 49ers Enterprises pool in Leeds, and Andrew Kavanagh is the lead consortium member in this with the 49ers. As part of that, Leeds chairman Parag Marathe is going to take a vice chairman role at the Glasgow club, and Rangers under Kavanagh are also employing their own new team of people that won't cross over with Leeds United as well. Former Everton transfer specialist Dan Purdy is joining the club as their head of transfers, or head of sporting director, or whatever you want to call him, but that's what he is moving in to oversee. And again, separate pools that don't actually cross over in finance or operational perspective. It does mean though that Leeds have a sister club for the very first time. However, the running of the clubs, according to Parag Marathe, will remain separate from each other, aside from industry information sharing and promoting strategic best practice. And you might even see the odd player move back and forth through that as well. There's plenty of them. We'll get into talking about Strasbourg and Chelsea in a second when we get to Matteo Joseph. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting things with a multi-club model. But I think the main concern from people is that this might take money away from Leeds. It's a very separate investment pool. You can see on the screen how that's structured. They're very different pools of money, different people that are in there, and the money that Leeds raise from their investment pool doesn't go anywhere else outside of Leeds' investment pool. That's how it works. So yeah, just to clarify that one for everyone who was worried about it, because there's a couple of people a little bit edgy about it over the weekend. But there we go. Let's move on. Let's talk about Matteo Joseph. And earlier this month, reports came out that Real Betis had interest again in Matteo Joseph and may in fact be ready to make a second move for the player, just over £10 million. But as of yet, they're yet to make a move for Joseph. However, reports over the weekend now claim that French side RC Strasbourg as well as Real Betis are both said to be interested and planning on making a move for Joseph. Reports from L'Equipe in France state that several clubs have interest in Joseph, with Strasbourg said to be leading the race for the striker. Leeds will likely sell players this summer in order to balance the books, balance the squad, with PSR in the back of their mind. But I wouldn't rule out any chance of a surprise exit from Leeds, a one that we maybe don't see leaving the club but ends up going away in order to rebalance the books or rebalance the squad. We saw that with a lot of clubs in the Premier League last year as the PSR rules get very, very tight. But Strasbourg are also part of a multi-club model and are under the stewardship of Chelsea's Blue Co company who own them. And the current manager Liam Senior is well aware of what Matteo Joseph can do, having also managed in the Championship against Joseph. Joseph is still said to be very much liked at Elland Road and has a huge amount of potential, still 21 years of age. And for me, if you're allowing Matteo Joseph to leave this summer, you allow him to leave on a loan, and you definitely don't sell him to a club that have got a connection to Chelsea. And if he does hit his potential, you could potentially lose him then into Chelsea's pool of players, which would be a disaster for everybody included. He has got a high value PSR on him, which is said to be something, and that may be a factor if Leeds do decide to sell. But personally for me, with the potential that's there, with the young age that he's there, loan him out and get minutes, let him develop as a striker, and then bring him back and reap the rewards from that. Don't sell a player at this stage with the amount of potential that he has as a striker. Let's move on. Let's talk about a goalkeeper link this morning, and then the slight rumour mill stuff, but slightly more credible. As Caoimhín Kelleher looks like he's moving on to Brentford. What is a realistic £15 million fee, and not the £40 million being thrown around by lots of the different publications that we've covered here in the last couple of weeks. Leeds are still rumoured to be interested in bringing a number one in next season themselves. This morning, Newcastle's goalkeeper Nick Pope is the latest name to pop up as a potential goalkeeper for Leeds United next season, as Newcastle increased their efforts to sign James Trafford from Burnley. They were after Trafford last year and apparently had gone as far as agreeing personal terms with Trafford, but due to PSR, they had to pull the plug on the move. They're now in a position to make that move happen, according to the Daily Mail, so massive pinch of salt on this one. Leeds are said to be one of a handful of clubs interested in Newcastle goalkeeper Nick Pope. Pope would bring a huge amount of experience to Elland Road and high-level experience given where Newcastle have finished in the Premier League over the last few seasons, and he's also been capped 10 times for England as well. We did a stream on bigup.com at the back end of last week where we looked at the statistical lineup of the goalkeepers being linked with Leeds, but more from not just a save percentage number, because that number in itself is impacted by the amount of shots you face, but we looked at the total volume of shots they face, their save percentage, and how many goals they prevent from happening, as well as goals that they cause themselves. And in that list, Jordi Petrovic from Strasbourg, Chelsea, and Finn Dachman from Augsburg came out as the two leading candidates there. Pope would still be a very solid keeper for Leeds United at this level, but it's more likely this move won't go through or won't happen unless James Trafford's move to Newcastle is completed. And if that is delayed, then Leeds may end up turning their attention elsewhere. So he may be a keeper on the list for Leeds, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's the goalkeeper Leeds is going to make a move for. Before we get into the rumour mill stuff, just to let anyone know who's not interested in transfer rumours, the next section of this is clarifying the rumour mill that is out there and giving some perspective on whether it's true or not. But we'll move on, we'll talk about that now. We'll start by talking about Emi Buendia, and according to the Sun's Alan Nixon, he claims that Buendia could be sent out on loan again next season, and says that Leeds United have reignited their interest in the Argentinian attacker. Nixon says that the availability of Buendia will likely attract Daniel Farke, as Leeds tried to sign him in January and in the summer. Back then, Buendia didn't want to drop to the Championship, but that has now been removed. But Nixon says that this move isn't likely to be straightforward, as Leeds have other priority targets in other positions. Leeds can only loan 2 players from the Premier League rivals this season, so the ones that they decide would need to be important and save them money so they can spend that money on other targets this summer, try and maximise that spend as much as they can. So for me, this one's a maybe. A loan for Buendia, I don't think I'd have a problem with that. I think off the back of the serious injury he had last year, I think you want to give him some time to get over that. A loan is a safe enough option. If he does go well, stick an option in there as well. If it goes well, you buy him. If it doesn't, you don't. And you move on to other targets next season. You're not spending a huge amount of money on him, or even amortising over several seasons. So that's that one. But yeah, I think it's just, again, it's an easy link because Buendia, but I think maybe a loan. Maybe. Let's talk about Junior Firpo. Over the weekend, new reports about another offer has been received by Junior Firpo, and according to reports, they claim that Olympique Lyonnais are the latest to put a contract offer in front of Firpo. Fabrizio Romano says that it's a serious offer and it is in front of Firpo right now, and that's to be added to interest from AC Milan as well. Firpo is expected to sort out his decision on his future, but more offers abroad means it's less and less likely that Firpo stays at Leeds United. They may need to keep an eye on the Kostas Tsimikas situation or other left backs in that position as well. Let's move on to a surprise one that popped up over the weekend, and this one relates to Coventry City's Jack Rudoni, and another link that popped up of Leeds' supposed interest in having Rudoni on their radar this summer. Graham Bailey says that Leeds United like Rudoni, who had an absolutely excellent season for Coventry City last season, that should be said. Rudoni played 43 times last year. He scored 9 goals and added 12 assists from midfield, and at 23 years of age is showing year-on-year improvement and could be a decent player to look at into the future. The year before that, he scored 5 goals and 3 assists, so he's shown a big jump this year from last season. Rudoni's estimated market value is said to be in and around £5 million, so it could be a relatively risk-free signing, but that depends on whether Leeds need that $5 million elsewhere. Bailey also says that Leeds do like Rudoni, and while no inquiry has been made, Leeds are interested in doing a deal for the Coventry City starman. Team Talk back in 2022 had an article where they said that Leeds' Marcelo Bielsa had watched Rudoni several times when he was at Wimbledon at that point, just before Marcelo Bielsa was fired by Leeds. This one feels to me like agent speculation. The reason I say that is it says in the report that no inquiry has been made. So where has the story been leaked from? It's definitely not been leaked from Leeds side. There's no inquiry being made. So it's likely is coming from the agent. So this one I'd say very much put in the agent talk one right now. It's an interesting one. I think there's a lot of positives for Jack Rudoni longer term. There's still an element of what would he do for Leeds right now in the Premier League, and Leeds needing to sign established players in the Premier League. But yeah, for me, that's agent talk, but we'll keep an eye on it. Let's move on to Calvin Phillips. Shocker, I know, right? But the Daily Mail now claim that Leeds are in direct talks with Manchester City around bringing Calvin Phillips to Leeds for a fee of about £10 million. City Extra, though, have also put a piece out where they claim that Calvin Phillips is reportedly after having surgery on an Achilles injury and will be out until at least August. Also, Calvin Phillips was pictured at the Kaiser Chiefs concert this weekend in a full boot as well. You add to that the fact that Calvin's only played 13 times last season, struggled to get any minutes over the 2 seasons before that, and really over 3-season period has struggled under 3 clubs with 3 managers in 3 years. And for me, any kind of a £10 million fee that could go with somewhere else to help us get a signing in that's needed. If it was anyone else bar Calvin Phillips, I think most fans would remove this one straight away. I think if you were told central defensive midfielder who's barely played any football and will cost you less than 10 million and is injured, I think most Leeds fans would say no thank you. The fact that it's Calvin means that there's a sentimental piece there as well. I love Calvin. I love what he's done for Leeds United. But I don't think it's a signing Leeds should be making this summer. And I also don't think Leeds are about to spend £10 million on a player who's coming back from an Achilles injury, which is dodgy at best. And given Calvin's injury history, and I know Manor Solomon was an outlier there as well. For me personally, it doesn't make sense to me. But let's move on and finish up by talking about the Manor Solomon situation. And according to reports, Everton are now making moves to get a deal done for Manor Solomon. The Athletic claimed that Angus Kinnear is the man directly behind this, and he was the main part of the deal to get Solomon to Leeds in the first place due to his relationship with Daniel Levy at Spurs, and is now being described as a potential blow for Leeds United. Solomon said that he loved his time at Leeds United and wanted to play Premier League football next season, and both of those are lined up for him right now, and we'll see if that's a factor or if a permanent move and higher money makes an impact on Solomon for next season. But we'll have to keep an eye on this. Daniel Levy would have wanted this situation. He would have wanted clubs bidding against each other to try and increase the price of Manor Solomon. For me, I think Leeds would need to keep an eye on that situation and try and get out as quick as they can before that fee gets to an unnecessarily high level. I don't think they will, but you know what I mean. Folks, that'll be it for me today. Massive thanks, as always, for supporting the channel here. Back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. We have a podcast out tomorrow night as well. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. See you then. Bye.